नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, राम राम सा, खम्मा गणी, वणक्कम, प्रणाम। हमारे साथ छोटी-सी गैप के बाद जुड़े हुए हैं पीवीआर नरसिम्हा राव सर, जो मैंने पीछे अपलोड किया था वीडियो, दैट वाज़ अ वेरी शॉर्ट वन एंड लॉट ऑफ पीपल आस्क्ड मी कि मैम आपने पूरा इलैबोरेट नहीं किया है, तो हम 2026 की पूरी भविष्यवाणी आज हम करने वाले हैं एंड नरसिम्हा राव सर हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम।
Namaskar, Gayatri ji. Namaste and namaste to all your audience.
जी। Periana, last time when we did for 2025,
Uh,
we started with talking about how is the atmosphere going to be like, like you said, it's going to be a war year, the planet's movements, why it is indicating that. How is going to be the overall perspective for the year 2026?
Overall perspective for 2026 is a pretty unstable year. It's not. See, the way I look at it, 2023 and 2024 was kind of stabilizing years for humanity and for the world. But 2025 and 2026 are a transitory period, a period when world transitions from being pretty reasonably stable to extremely volatile and chaotic. 2027, 28, 29, and 2030 are going to be extremely volatile. Things that you can't even imagine may happen in that time period. And these 2 years, 2025 and 2026, are basically stepping stones towards that ultimate chaos. So there'll be, unfortunately, 2025, as we saw, it basically there was some stability, but also a lot of chaos in 2025. A lot of unexpected developments, both in India, in US, and the rest of the world. And I'm afraid 2026 will be even more chaotic than 2025. Basically, creating the background for whatever is going to happen in 2027. So overall, from a high level perspective, 2026 is not a cool or stable year. Is going to be a very volatile, very chaotic year when things basically that we don't expect will happen. But compared to the years that are going to come, is still a relatively stable year.
Right. And what about the like wars? It's going to be chaotic. What will be the finances across the world if we look in terms of geoeconomics? Ji.
Yeah, if we look at it from the economic perspective, from the world economy perspective, in my opinion, purely astrologically speaking, 2026 is not a good year at all. It's actually a pretty bad year. But the thing is, I was expecting second half of 2025, especially late 2025, to be bad also, and 2026 to be even worse. And so far, at least the stock markets, if you don't look at the other parameters, just look at the stock market, is holding up pretty okay, even though there are some ups and downs. So I'm hoping that my analysis is wrong and economy will remain afloat in 2026 also. But astrologically, my assessment is that a, a big correction in the stock market or a recession is quite likely in 2026. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that I'm wrong. But prediction would be, my honest prediction would be, it's a very bad year for the world economy. And secondly, when it comes to wars, you asked about wars also. In general, the real period of wars, escalating wars, is 2027 to 2030, 2031. That's the real period of escalating wars. But the thing is, 2026, as I said, is a transition period. I do expect some war fronts to develop and also some previously cooled down war fronts to start heating up in 2026. So, in terms of peace and war, 2026 is not really a year of peace. It's a year of basically creating situations that
Lead
are
to
going to
war.
support a lot of wars in the coming years. But one particular front I'm actually more hopeful on. The Ukraine-Russia war front, I have said for a year and a half, year and a half, that there is hope around March, April, February, March, April 2026 timeframe. So I will not be surprised when Jupiter is stationary in the second week of March, I believe, aspecting Ukraine's Lagna very closely at that time. Around that time, 3 weeks before or after, there is a potential for peace. So there have been some developments, but obviously the proposals that have been put forward by Trump and USA are more pro-Russia, are seen as more pro-Russia and less pro-Ukraine. But the thing is, in the end, Ukraine may not have a lot of choice, even though Europe wants to stand with Ukraine, even if US doesn't want to stand with Ukraine. It may not work out. And my prediction was, and still is, that there is potential for peace in Ukraine between August 2025 and August 2026, and the peak probability being in the around the March time period, March April time period. And also, I expected and still expect that there may be a change of leadership in Ukraine associated with peace agreement. So finally, Zelensky may have to go. He may be replaced by somebody else, and there may be peace between Ukraine and Russia, even though it may not stand for a long time. It may just be a couple of years, and then things may heat up again in Ukraine because of clashes between various superpowers relating to the natural resources that are available there. So they will be involved in clashes again, but they can enjoy temporary peace and reconstruction from spring of 2026 is my assessment. So that's one war front that I'm actually hopeful of peace on. And the other war front, Israel, there has been a peace agreement brokered by USA, and around the time Nobel Peace Prize was announced. So just before that, this peace deal was brokered, and so far it's holding up okay. But I will not be surprised if that just blows up, and Israel is again involved in a lot of multiple war fronts. So for Israel, the coming year is not really a great year, especially from the perspective of peace. I'm afraid Israel will be mired in multiple war fronts in 2026, especially the second half of 2026. But and China, they will not be involved in any specific explicit war, but they will be the Cold War that they have with US and the West will be really brewing, and it will reach feverish pitch towards the end of 2026. So in general, except for one or two good developments, this is not a year of peace. And specifically, if you ask about India, war and peace with respect to India, for India, this is a very interesting year. In the 2025-2026 annual solar return chart of India, in August 2025, that chart, in the Navamsa chart, which shows relations with other countries, in that chart, the 12th house is extremely prominent. It has 4 planets, including the 12th lord. And 12th house shows hidden enemies. Basically, 6th house shows enemies who are fighting with you, standing in front of you, so you can see them and you can fight them. But 12th house is enemies who are standing behind you. It's in the invisible half of the zodiac, so you can't see them. They're behind you, and they're basically trying to stab you. So those hidden enemies will be very strong in August 2025 to August 2026 period. So whatever we are seeing, using different fronts, basically like media, international media, Indian politicians, using various and some of the neighboring countries of India, using all these, trying to put pressure on India, trying to create the narrative that India is failing as a country, failing as a state, failing as an economy, failing as a superpower, and India is nowhere close to becoming a superpower. So that narrative will be pushed very strongly in the coming months. And as we discussed in a previous video, Rahu will be exactly aspecting Mars, who's a Marak for India in India's chart, the 7th lord in the 2nd house. Rahu will be exactly aspecting natal Mars in India's independence chart around July 2026. So June, July, August are particularly delicate period for India. So whatever this covert war against India and against Modi that we are seeing, that may reach a pinnacle in the middle of the 2026. So, but the thing is, as far as this is all covert war front, but when it comes to overt war, there is actually a potential in the March, April timeframe, March, April, May timeframe, late February, March, April, May, early May, that time period, based on the dasha in the annual charts, Navamsa of India's independence chart, the 6th house will be active at that time. So there is potential for India getting involved in some temporary war or war fronts or just some strikes against a couple of neighboring countries. So there is that potential, but basically I expect it to be somewhat limited. But the covert wars against India and also staged by India against a couple of neighboring countries will be very hard during this year, 2026.
And what about the like health wise? Well, because we have seen Corona a couple of years back, and any major outbreak you expect or anything like that?
Based on some planetary configurations, some astrologers are expecting that there'll be a pandemic in 2026. But my best opinion, based on various factors, is that I don't see basically another pandemic coming like COVID-19, coronavirus. Obviously, there'll be some outbreaks, some disease outbreaks that will be overplayed in the media, and media will create a lot of tension. So those things are visible in the Shashtamsa chart of the in the D6 chart of the Independence chart's annual chart. There are some things, but they don't rise to the level that I saw in 2020, 2021, 2022 time frames. So I don't expect another pandemic. And as far as COVID-19 is concerned, obviously new variants will be coming. COVID-19 is the new flu basically. It is the new Spanish flu, and there'll be new variants, and there'll be some people suffering. But I don't expect it to be similar to what we saw in 2020. So I'm not concerned about another major pandemic or outbreak. That whatever small outbreaks will be there will be well contained, and nothing really unique or special. We don't have to worry about that,
Hmm.
in my
But you
opinion.
know, gee, but important one, close to my heart one.
Yeah.
Now, what about Modi? How is this 2026 going to be? Modi, Amit Shah, Yogi, Doval. Gee.
Okay, as far as Dolzi is concerned, I do not have his chart, so I can't really specifically talk about him. But what I can do is I can just look at India's chart because he's such an important member of India's government. So things will basically be seen in the India's Tajak chart. So when I see India's annual chart, and I basically see the relevant houses to see the security apparatus, the head of the security apparatus of India will be very strong during this year and will play a bigger role in deciding India's foreign policy and some of the pivoting that we may see in India's foreign policy in the coming year, multiple pivots. So I, based on that factor, just that factor, without having Dawalji's chart, my assessment is that he will be strong. Yeah, I know he's pretty old now, but he will still be very strong, and he will lead very capably. And his influence on governance at the top of India will actually be very strong. It will be enhanced from previous years. He will play an important role in deciding the direction of India in the coming year. And as far as Modi ji, Amit Shah ji, and Yogi ji are concerned, unfortunately for Narendra Modi ji, the current year, September 2025 to September 2026, and also September 2026 to September 2027, these 2 years are not that great for him. He's basically, in my astrological assessment, he's past his peak in terms of his influence, etc. But the good news is the Congress and Rahul Gandhi charts are even worse. So the thing is, he is weaker than he was, let's say, 5 years back or 6 years back. He's definitely, based on the Dashas and annual charts then and now, he's definitely weaker than 5 years back. But more, Congress and Rahul Gandhi are much weaker. And if you look at like from Mamata Banerjee, she is much weaker. Various key leaders, Arvind Kejriwal, Mamata Banerjee, Rahul Gandhi, if you take all of them, they're all much weaker than they were before. So in comparison, Modi ji is still strong, but the thing is, there is a potential for a lot of negative developments for him, negative coverage that takes his toll, and then some decisions that he did not take before, or he was not really forced to take before, he may take in the coming year or two. So 2025 October to 2027 October is a very delicate time period for Modi ji, and I will not be surprised if in this period he decides to basically slow down on his career and give the reins to somebody else. Even though at this stage it's unfathomable People will probably laugh at me for saying this, but the thing is, because they just won a major election, people may think that this is unlikely. I will not be surprised if in the next year or at least next 2 years, Modi ji decides to withdraw from this power politics and basically either play a passive role or basically just completely retire from politics. That's certainly possible. And as far as Amit Shah's chart is concerned, I do not see the same thing in his chart. He will basically still be active, and he will be still at the he will be at the center of Indian politics for several more years. The only thing is, if I see the chart of Amit Shah ji, I'm a little concerned about his health. He should just he is the heart and soul of BJP party, but he should basically take care of his health. See, he is running Sade Sati. He has excuse me, he has Masha, Jamrasi is Masha, and he just started Sade Sati in March. I'm sure his personal astrologers and his personal priests are doing remedies for him. But basically, doing remedies for Sade Sati is very important. Doing Mrutyunjay Jap, and Rudra Chamakam Chap, Hanuman Chalisa, all these things are very, very important for him. And I'm pretty sure they are being done for him. So there are concerns about his health as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes to his intellectual prowess, when it comes to his political prowess, they will be still at their peak. So if he basically shares the burden with some other persons and basically works a little harder, he can sustain himself for a longer period and serve India at the top of the political ladder. So Amit Shah ji just concerned about health, but he will be fine. And Yogi ji is the one that I'm actually most excited about. Even though after the previous election he was kind of sidelined, the next 2 years are brilliant for him. Absolutely brilliant for him. His birthday is in a few days. He was born on December, I think, 29 or so. Yeah, December 29. His official Wikipedia birth date is different, but his actual birth date is December 29, 1971. So his birthday is coming soon. So if we make the annual solar return chart, the Tajak Varshapal chart for 2025 December to 2026 December, it's an absolutely brilliant chart. In the Rasi chart, the fifth house contains Lagna Lord Sun, Yokarak, Mars, Mangal, and Jupiter, the fifth lord of power, is in Samsaptak from them. He's aspecting them exactly opposite them. So there is a powerful Rajoga involving all the trine lords. And even the Dashamsha chart is also good, not just the Rasi chart. And if I look at 2026 annual solar return chart, the Tajak Varshapal chart, in that chart also, Vrishchik Lagna rises and the Lagna Lord Mars, the ninth Lord Moon, and the fifth Lord Jupiter, all the trine lords are in the ninth house of fortune, and Jupiter is exalted, the fifth Lord of power. So these two charts show amazing rise in power, influence, fame, etc. So this shows a big rise, and this doesn't, to me, this is not just being re-elected in March, early 2027 as the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh. This shows a bigger rise. So I will not be surprised at all. I have said it many years back also, but I still, though it seems extremely unlikely at this time, I still stick to my guns and expect that in the next 2 years, between December 2025 and December 2027, within these 2 years, he's most likely to rise in national politics. He's basically going to come from UP politics to national politics and probably become a minister with a very key role and possibly even prime minister. I will not be surprised if Modi ji hands over the reins to Yogi ji in the coming couple of years. So 2026 is possible, but 2027 is probably more likely. But this is what I expect. Out of these three leaders, Yogi ji, Modi ji, and Shah ji, the one that I am most excited about astrologically, based on the dashas, transits, and annual charts for the next couple of years, is Yogi ji. So, if you are a fan of Yogi ji, if you like Yogi ji, basically support him in all ways you can and contribute towards his rise and against all odds. This man, he rose in UP politics against all odds. He rose in he went to parliament, and then when he came to UP, odds were always stacked against him. and nobody really thought he will become CM, and he became CM. And now it may seem like in the current geopolitical environment, it's tough for him to somebody like with his background to become the Prime Minister of India. But I will not be surprised if that actually becomes true. And the time is here now, December 29, 2025. That's his birthday. So that then the window opens, and it's a 3-year window, particularly 2-year window, and the second year is the key year. So I I pray to gods that Modi ji and Yogi ji and Amit Shah ji are guided correctly. Their intellects are guided correctly in the interest of BJP, RSS, and the nation, and the right decisions are made in the next couple of years.
So that's about all our leaders. What about there's one more leader, period. I know I have done separate show, but then at least one line on Mamata Banerjee.
You have a lot of Mamata for her. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't have Mamata fan. We just don't want her there. We
Yeah.
want to save our West Bengal.
Yeah.
That's the feeling actually.
Yes. I am very convinced that, see, Mamata Banerjee's good time ended a while back, and she's just surviving. But the thing is, there was no major election apart from the national election after her good time ended. And the next assembly election of the next of 2026 is the major election after her good time ended and the bad time started. So I strongly expect that she's going to lose. She's not, just like Arvind Kejriwal fell in Delhi in the previous election. I do expect that Mamata Banerjee, however strong her hold on power at this point of time may appear to be, I strongly expect that Mamata Banerjee is going to lose the next assembly elections, and she will be replaced by somebody else. So the key thing is to, this is what I astrologically expect. But astrology, there are a couple of factors. First of all, there is a lot of controversy about her birth time, even birth year. And so her birth year is not really, birth date and birth year are not 100% known. But this is a chart that adds up well. And this is a chart based on which I predicted her success in the previous election. So if that is correct, basically, this is my expectation. But still, even if data is correct, astrology is a probabilistic science. So to maximize the chance that this happens, somebody with a strong chart should basically be selected as the CM candidate by BJP and the opposition parties. So hopefully, when we have clarity about the other person, I can be more confident. But at this time, just based on Mamata Banerjee's chart, I can say with as much confidence as I can, just based on one factor, that Mamata Banerjee's time is over. She's going to lose in 2026, and it's the end of
Yes.
TMC in West Bengal.
Yes, finally, West Bengal will be free from her clutches. Periana, Yogi ji's birthday is on a very nice day, 29 December. I don't know about rest, but just for viewers, 11 number is considered very auspicious in astrology. So 29 is 9 plus 2, 11. That's 11. And we don't add 11. That's another interesting point when you calculate your Moolank in numerology. So yeah, let's see how it goes for him. Periana, there's a neighbor which has been troubling India, which was initially, I've always
There are
been
actually
saying
two
about-
neighbors who are troubling, but one neighbor
No,
is
but-
in the news right now. Yes.
Pakistan, I have always been, I've never been curious about Pakistan, but all my shows I've been doing, and I was always saying that Bangladesh is a blind spot because they're like termites entering into our country, and they're trying to just make it shallow and hollow. Which now it has finally come out. The rot has finally come out.
Yeah.
How it's going to be in Bangladesh versus India? Is the chicken egg going to expand and become a rhino's neck, elephant's neck? Everybody's saying that. How is going to be that side, G?
What I expect is, first of all, looking at the lunar New Year charts of Bangladesh and lunar New Year chart of India and the annual Tajik chart of India's independence chart, based on these charts, my assessment is that whatever is happening in Bangladesh right now, for example, recently a Hindu man was lynched to death and basically burnt and hanged, and just
Today
based
also,
on
today also one lynching has happened while we record this video.
okay, I
Just
see.
one.
Yeah. In general, Hindus are being hunted down in some Bangladeshi villages, and in general, Hindus are living in fear. And while the international media talks heavily about minority oppression in India, actually minorities are rising in population in India, whereas the Hindu population is down in India. On the other hand, in Pakistan and Bangladesh, in the last few decades, the Hindu population has really plummeted. At the time of independence of India, 1947, Bangladesh and Pakistan had a lot of Hindu population, but those numbers have nearly come to zero, especially in Pakistan, and even in Bangladesh they have come down in the recent times. So the thing is, this whole thing, this narrative building, this is all done by vested interest. There is a post-colonial mindset and narrative that basically that is concerned about India's rise. And from 1947, ever since India was granted independence, the West was concerned about India's rise, the rise of an ancient civilization and becoming a superpower. So basically, the narrative was built, the post colonial narrative was built such that Indians will shoot themselves in the foot, Indians will be stuck in inferiority, and Indians will basically be stuck in problems around them. And this has, ever since 1990s and 2000s, India has opened the economy and slowly economy is growing. This narrative building has really increased, and unfortunately a lot of people don't know the facts and they just buy into it. So the thing is, one thing is narrative building, and second thing is whatever we are seeing in Bangladesh right now, this anti-Hindu sentiment. My assessment is this is an international conspiracy. This is basically some big influences, some big unseen powers. Also, some people call them deep state, unseen powers that are running the world, which have money coming from China, money coming from US, money coming from Middle East states. They are basically trying to create chaos in Bangladesh and set it on fire, and see if India is provoked and India will actually get into a war in Bangladesh, kind of like the Iraq war that bogged down US, or Vietnam war that bogged down US. Though some people think that India should get involved in a war in Bangladesh, I don't expect that to happen. I don't think that's the right thing for India to do. India will not be able to solve the Bangladesh problem in the coming year or two. It will be solved, but several years down the road. So for now, India should be patient. But having said that, in the spring of 2026, there is a chance that India will be engaged in some strikes against a couple of neighbors. At that time, basically, certain Bangladeshi areas can be surgically struck by India to basically weaken Bangladesh. And at that time, basically, the certain narrow straits within Bangladesh may basically be taken over by India, or Bangladesh may be cut off. Some areas of Bangladesh may be cut off. So I expect some surgical strikes and some specific operations with specific goals by India, but not liberation of all the Hindus in India. Not basically uh, changing whatever is going on. They're not solving the problem at the root level. That is still a few years away, but some temporary solutions may be pursued by India in the first half of this year. That is one thing. The other thing is,
We
yes, go ahead.
No, no, please continue.
But the other thing is, outside of these, based on Bangladesh lunar New Year chart, I do expect that in the next 10 months, there will be a change of leadership in Bangladesh. So whether the elections that are scheduled for early 2026 take place or they are postponed, because one of the motivations behind whatever is happening could also be to postpone the elections. So irrespective of whether the elections happen or not, I don't expect that the leadership will continue. So Mr. Yusuf may have to Mr. Yunus may have to leave power, and somebody else may come in the coming 10 months. So that is one thing. But the thing is, that may not be because of India attacking Bangladesh and completely taking over the country. I don't expect that to happen. But India can look at striking certain areas of Bangladesh to weaken Bangladesh, and that is a possibility in the coming 6 months, particularly spring.
Will we gain some territory around Chicken?
It is possible in the spring 2026. It is possible that India gains some territory adjoining Bangladesh, and also uh, Bangladesh may be separated. There certain pockets of Bangladesh may be separated from the rest of the Bangladesh. So in general, some structural changes in the map of Bangladesh are possible in the coming year. But the thing is, India should India should basically plan with narrow objectives. Don't basically make it over ambitious, because for an over ambitious attack on Bangladesh that solves long-standing problems and creates a new equilibrium, it is still a few years away. This is not the right time, because if India does not go for a limited operation in Bangladesh, but basically goes for a full-scale war against the whole Bangladesh, this is exactly what the unseen powers that I mentioned want. They want India to be mired in such a war. Instead, India should do something limited, achieve the objectives that will basically set Bangladesh back by several years, and then focus the attention on Pakistan. Because the see, you should strike when the irony is hot. Bangladesh is weak, economically weak, notwithstanding the current bonhomie that people perceive between Pakistan and US. This is just a temporary glitch. There is no real bonhomie between Trump and Pakistan. Pakistan is in deep economic mess, and also in deep political mess, and this is all going to explode in the coming year or two. So that the time is right. So to squeeze Pakistan, not necessarily by occupying Pakistan, but basically by doing some covert operations, by continuing covert operations, and by strengthening the rebellion within Pakistan, whether it's the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or whether it's Balochistan or Sindh or Punjab, or of course Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Basically, keep hitting Pakistan from inside and create the situation where Pakistan will break up. So that should be India's main neighboring foreign policy objective, not really Bangladesh. So go for something specific in Bangladesh, achieve it, and then move on, and to keep the eyes on Pakistan, because the rest of the world wants India to take eyes off Pakistan and focus on Bangladesh.
So Pakistan is yet going down there. What about USA? It's in a big turmoil, but is it the beginning or is it the end?
It is the beginning of the not really end, but beginning of the change that will basically take US down from an unquestioned superpower level to a big power level. Basically, just like I give this analogy many times, the transition that UK experienced, United Kingdom experienced in 1940s and 1950s, that is the transition US is experiencing in 20s, second half of 2020s and 2030s. That's what US will go through, and this is the beginning of the transition. The transition kind of started in the last decade, last 5 6 years, but it will really speed up, accelerate in the coming 5 years, and around 2030 2031 is when it will be formalized. So US is definitely a superpower in decline. It is still superpower, it is still a superpower, it is still comparable in economic might and particularly military might to China and the rest of the world powers. So it is still a superpower, but it is definitely declining. And I'm very confident that by 2035, US will be at the same level UK was by 1955. So this is the beginning of the transition, which will end US supremacy.
It is there downward and our upwards.
It is
The re
definitely India's upward trajectory and US downward trajectory, but instead of being the beginning of end, it is the beginning of the transition that will end America's supremacy.
Right. What about because we spoke about Pakistan and we spoke about Bangladesh, we have seen what is going on with respect to Islam in the European countries and also in the Indian subcontinent. How do you
Yeah.
see it? Because there have been a lot of astrologers from past and present who are saying that this is the downfall. The downfall of Islam has started because now everything is coming out in open. Gee.
In my opinion, based on some long-term mundane charts cast at Makkah, my assessment is that the downfall of Islam started in mid 2010s. Basically, that is when the phase started, and it is accelerating now. In around 2024, 2025, it is accelerating, and I'm afraid in the next decade, it will be a terrible time for Islam. And though it is very unpopular to say, I have always said whether Islam is a genuine religion coming from a prophet who actually was able to communicate with God, or whether it's just a politically inspired religion that was founded after the prophet lived. Irrespective of that, if there are certain religious practices that people engage in, like 5 times namaz every day, and if the people live good lives, they can make spiritual progress. And I am very confident that there are a lot of good Muslims who are good human beings, and they are making a lot of progress, and they will unfortunately suffer. They will, whether there is a whether this is justified or not, there will be, based on certain factors, the anti-Islam sentiment in the world will increase in the coming 10 years. It has been increasing slowly over the last 10 years, but in the coming 10 years, it will be more visible, it will be more clear. And unless these, who I called as good Muslims, take charge, and they basically, some of the jihadi mentality, some of the violent ideology that is basically being attributed to Quran, so unless some scholars, Muslim scholars, put it down, and unless basically they give a new interpretation and clear spin, and they dominate the dialogue, which is unlikely, but unless that happens, Islam is unfortunately or fortunately destined to go down. So my overall assessment is the coming 10 years are a terrible time for the followers of this particular religion in the world, not just in Europe, but in general across the world. And another thing is, I do expect, again, even though this is unpopular, I do expect that for some of the things that I just mentioned, the seeds will be from India. The Muslim community in India will show the way to the rest of the world, by basically, because India is a Hindu majority country, and Hinduism is an inherently secular country. And some of these practitioners of Islam in India, they have that Sanatan values and secular values in their psyche, in their genes, even though they may not be dominating the dialogue now. They may not be dominant on social media, dominant everywhere, and their views may just be hidden and suppressed. And the views of those who are extreme maybe more prominent in the media. There are many such people. So these people will basically show a way for Muslims to basically reform their religion, reform the way Islam is practiced today, and find something that is basically meaningful, that can coexist with the rest of the religions, whether it's Judaism or Christianity or Hinduism, how to coexist with those in a meaningful way. So for that, the way will be shown by Indian Muslims in my way. So in general, Muslims in India, the extreme voices will basically be suppressed in the coming 10 years, and the moderate voices will basically show the way to the rest of the world, the Muslims in the rest of the world. That is my assessment. It may not be popular now, but this is what I feel about Indian Muslims in the next 10 years. But in general, coming 10 years are a terrible time for Islam. And unless some of the good people practicing that religion take charge and become more vocal, this is a terrible time. This basically, just based on astrological factors, what I see in the next 10 years can even mean the end of this religion. So see, nothing is basically written in stone. There are, astrology is a probabilistic science. So one possibility is, it just, the sentiment, anti-Islam sentiment will rise in the world, and Muslims will basically be forced
We
to
we have
change.
seen that rising in Germany. We have seen that rising in
Yeah.
France, Italy,
and
Italy,
and
Meloni.
basically it can just fall down, completely collapse the whole religion, or the religion can reform itself, and basically some of the principles and ideologies may be reinterpreted so that they are consistent with the secular values, and with basically coexisting with other religions,
Rihanna,
and it will
what
survive, or it will just go down.
Reena, whatever the things that we have seen across the world, and we have been looking for good leaders to lead this community in a nice way. We have hardly seen any leaders. If only a magic can probably bring the things up. But if you look at New Zealand, you look at Australia, the attack you have
Yes,
seen, what
yes,
happened
yes.
on the Bond Beach. Then you look at Palestine matter. Why can't the 54, 57 Muslim countries take the Palestinian people? USC, UAE that discards totally my Muslim brother. Muslim Brotherhood is banned in so many countries, Muslim countries, Egypt,
I
Saudi
know.
Arabia, UAE,
Yeah.
but it is functioning in West
Yeah.
where the radicalism is rising, and now the West is done with it.
Yes.
They're like, we don't want them. If you see, how did the UK people started rising? What do you call them? There's a, I'm forgetting the nationalist. Uh, there is a particular term with which the people are rising and telling, asking them to get out. So it looks like a leader, probably a magic, can can actually help it, but they are not ready to reform because the problem is that book has so many things, and they are not ready to give up on it or to evolve the book.
Some people are not ready to give up and they are prominent right now. All I'm saying is there are majority who don't care about those particular principles and they understand them differently, but they don't have a good strong leader who's basically giving
Exactly.
voice to their opinions. And I'm not ruling out the possibility that such a leader may emerge and the religion may survive and it may basically reform itself in the coming 10 years. I'm not ruling out that possibility. I'm not saying that that's the most likely possibility, but that's one possibility. The other possibility is just collapse, total collapse.
And what we are seeing in Saudi Arabia is they are reforming. I mean, the place Jordan and Saudi Arabia, where it originated, they have started discarding. Drinking is there. By the way, Pakistan has also started making beer and selling export.
Hmm.
Now, now where is Islam? It forbids. Coming to another very important uh, country, Periana, that is Israel and India. How is the relation going to mold in coming 1 year?
Strong, very strong. I have always maintained that number one friend of India is Israel. People may think that it's Russia. Yes, we have a strong relation with Russia that is decades old, and we should basically make sure that that's cherished and that's basically used in a positive way. But still, I do expect that this relation will, unfortunately, because of China being involved, and because of the Chinese Sino-Russian relations, Indo-Russia relation may suffer uh, closer to the end of this decade. So that's my opinion. So Russia is a strong friend, but Israel is a stronger friend. In my opinion, India-Israel partnership and relationship will grow in the coming years, and basically it will peak around 2030, 2031 time frame. And US is more opportunistic. US relationship will also grow, in my opinion, in spite of the temporary problems we have seen in the last year. But USA is not a reliable friend. Israel, in my opinion, is a reliable friend of India and will continue to be. And India should recognize that and act accordingly.
Perina, last question, please.
Yes.
Hinduism and Christianity across the world.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the same outlook on Christianity as I have on Islam. See, the thing is, these two religions have something unique. When you take Christianity and Islam compared to the rest of the religions like Judaism, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, Confucianism, Buddhism, Jainism, all these religions, the Christianity and Islam have this concept of superiority. They believe that they are the only path to God. And if you basically don't follow their book or their God or their procedures, you are doomed to hell. And there are even certain verses in their scriptures that basically justify violence against those who don't want to convert to that religion. So that's the problem. These two religions are really, these are the products of deep Kali Yuga. That is why some of these perverted thinking is at the core of these two religions. But the thing is, Christianity was able to reform itself through when these countries in the West basically prospered financially. They stopped crusades. They stopped killing people in the name of Christ and Bible. They basically started, instead of inducing benefits, basically trying to bribe people to become Christians, give them money, give them rice bags, give them some basically material benefits. So the thing is, this is better than telling somebody, if you don't become so and so religion follower, you are going to hell and I can kill you, and that is actually a good deal. Instead of that, bribing them is probably better. So Christianity has avoided whatever is happening with Islam now could have happened to Christianity, but unfortunately, they were able to successfully avoid it. And I don't really see Christianity ending in the coming decade, which is like it is possible for Islam. But the thing is, I do expect that Christianity will also weaken in the coming decade or 2 decades in the world. In general, I have always maintained the biggest challenge to Hinduism in the coming 30 years is atheism, not Christianity, not Islam. Even though those two seem to be the biggest challenges now, Christianity will slowly go down as people question some of the fundamental
Correct.
principles and fundamental tenets. And as world becomes more materially advanced in the coming decades, atheism will rise in the world. And at that time, my assessment is 20 years from now, Hinduism is the only religion that can actually address the concerns of those atheists who are put off by whatever religion they're practicing right now. So I do expect that Hinduism will really rise at that time period. But certain aspects of Hinduism, which can also be seen as illogical or superstitious, will also basically go down. But the thing is, there are aspects of Hinduism which are very scientific, which are very logical, and those aspects will shine in the coming decades. But in the immediate next decade, I don't anticipate a big clash between Christianity and Hinduism. Both will have their own coexistence, uneasy coexistence in the coming years. But Islam is the one that is at odds with other religions like Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, etc. It will be at direct odds and violent odds. So unless basically some people take charge and tone it down, they are in big trouble. The next 10 years are not good for that religion, but Christianity will be fine, but slowly decaying
Right.
across the West.
Um, Periana, anything more, anything very specific or special that you notice about 2026?
Well, not really anything specific I want to say, but one thing I want to say is I am confident of one thing. It will feel very chaotic, and we astrologers and other scientists who follow various models, statistical models, will give some forecasts so that you can be prepared. But I guarantee you one thing: we are going to see things that nobody expected, nobody thought would happen in this year. And just relax. This is all for good in the end. In 2030s, basically by mid 2030s, there'll be a new equilibrium in the world. There'll be peace in the world. There'll be a sustainable and dharmic equilibrium in the world. So just relax, leave it to God. This is a good time for the world, even though it may seem like a violent and chaotic time. This is actually a good time of rise of dharma. So just relax, have faith in God, and engage in some spiritual practice. Meditate every day and do something like havan. Have some small practice that you spend 10-15 minutes every day on, that will ground you spiritually, that will basically calm you down, and try to basically tell yourself all is well.
All is well. थैंक यू सो मच पेरियना फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. जाने से पहले व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, पेरियना का चैनल है उनके नाम से, एंड वैदिक एस्ट्रोलॉजी or astrologer.org is his website. I'll pin all the things in the description box and the comment box. Please go and visit, watch his videos, because there he teaches a lot of unique and new things about how to do havan, and also forecast. जैसे अभी हमने एक prediction किया, he also writes once in a while very nice blogs on Facebook, because it's allowed to write longer there. Twitter पे allow नहीं होता है उतना.
Twitter पे भी
So
I write long on Twitter also because I have a blue tick.
also on Twitter. So recently he has written a big one on Duranda, and I just happened to pass by. Everything is described very nicely. But looks like Bollywood is going for a change. I miss that point, Periyar. I don't want to miss that. How is Bollywood going to go on from now? Because it looks like Bollywood is on a churning mode right now. Gee.
It's not just Bollywood, it's just the Indian consciousness is in a transition period. India, after 1,000 years of slavery meaning not just physical slavery, but basically in general cultural slavery. India is basically rediscovering its mojo. India is rediscovering its core principles, and India is basically rising. So whether it's Bollywood, whether it's TV industry, whether it's various other Kollywood, Tollywood, other film industries within India, whether it's the TV industry, whether it's basically the ad industry, whatever it is, whatever you take within India, slowly all facets of Indian society, Indian culture will emerge basically with the core principles of Sanatan Dharma guiding them. In the this transition is already happening, and this will basically probably reach peak by mid 2030s, and we will see a new Dharmic India that is confident, assertive, and showing the way to the rest of the world, not in a coercive way like the Western superpowers did over the last few hundred years, but in a very collaborative way. So we are at the beginning of the transition. So
So
this is just
Bollywood is going to see the
sign
same
of that.
change.
Sign of that. Yeah, yeah.
We're also going to see the same kind of a sign even in Bollywood now. The movies,
Yes,
the way
yes.
the
We are seeing.
different.
Yes.
Yes, right. Thank you so much, Periana, for joining इसी के साथ. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. We are just little bit away from 8 lakh family. जल्दी जल्दी subscribe करो, अपने family members से कराओ, अपने relatives से, friends से, सभी से. एंड अगर आप मेरी मदद करना चाहते हैं, सहायता करना चाहते हैं, तो नंबर और यूपीआई दोनों स्क्रीन के ऊपर है. आप फीडबैक देना चाहते हैं, मुझसे जुड़ना चाहते हैं, तो सभी लिंक्स डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में. इसी के साथ जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव.
Jai Hind, Jai Shri Ram. One last word to people who like me. Gayatri ji is the interviewer that I love the most doing interviews with. And please take her to 1 million subscribers soon. Jai Shri
Thank you
Ram.
so much,
Har Har
Periana.
Mahadev.
हर हर महादेव.